welcome. Thank you for coming again, again and again and again. There is something which Greg asked me yesterday about last time. I encouraged everyone to sit just a little bit, sometimes at the end of the sit, and last week in the middle of the talk, take like a minute and just breathe a little intentionally deeper than you naturally do. And Greg asked me, "What's with that? Isn't that just some mindfulness crap or whatever?" However he asked that question, the way it was left in me was, "Isn't that some mindfulness crap?" And yes, if you if you spend um, time grabbing onto or becoming attached to techniques, then then you miss the point. It becomes really easy to miss the point. If you, I mean, that said, if you visit some techniques, that's okay. You can use them. So, for example, just try that for just a second. I'm going to ring the bell 3 times, and you can put your hand right, kind of like with your belly button right about where your thumb is. So your hand is sitting below your belly button, and just breathe so that you can feel. Now, this that area in Japanese is called your hara, the lower abdomen. If you can feel that moving in and out a bit. Of course, this is all native to Connor as a trumpet player, but this breathe not 100% full. Like if you imagine a percentage, perhaps 75% or 80%. So more than you probably would if you weren't intentionally breathing deeply. But it doesn't have to be extreme. In fact, it's better if it's just gently more than usual. So just for an undisclosed short time, just put your hand there and breathe deeply. So as you see, it has a physiological effect. It can be sedative or sedative. It can be a sedative, or it can be a bit energizing. Obviously, physiologically speaking, we're oxygenating our blood, and so our everything becomes a little bit more awake, and that's useful. You can borrow that technique from time to time in zazen. That's okay, and it's also good occasionally to if you feel stale, like if you've been sitting or perhaps you've been working on a computer or something, and you're not breathing, your breath could become shallow. You can sort of, with intention, restimulate your body. This kind of thing, if one does just sit, shikantaza, then we can become receptive to our whole body in a way. The thing that mindfulness does, and perhaps some other schools of contemplative practice, is grabbing on to those things. Like, oh, meditation is focusing on the breath. Well, I mean, yeah, but if you spend too much time focusing on that, then you start to become nervous. It becomes like it should be some other way than it is. And ultimately in Zazen, we're really practicing letting go and letting go of our holding on to our attention in any one place, and in this case, our breath even. And letting go becomes letting go of our ego driven viewpoint, which allows us to see what is in front of us just as it is, which you can't do if you're grabbing onto anything. So that's what the breath thing is for. It's just like having a friend come up behind you and just squeeze your shoulders a whole bunch of times. And you're like, ah, yeah, I feel refreshed. That's it. You're not counting how many times they came and gave you a squeeze. You're just enjoying the squeeze. You're not counting the breaths. You're not holding on to the breaths. You're just taking some breaths. And that's okay. Obviously, if you don't breathe, you're dead. So please continue to breathe. Any questions? That was visiting an old point that I failed to bring it around in the conversation last week.
Yeah, it's funny because I actually was doing that just actually kind of for posture reasons, kind of mid meditation today,
Mm-hmm.
just to get, yeah, I mean, I've got a messed up spine. So like I kind of curve to the right. So
Yeah.
trying to kind of like keep that straight and then, yeah, just inflating fully and then moving a little bit. It's like, oh, okay, we're set back up.
Yeah.
And that kind of helps at least take the focus away from that for like, the one for the ego to be uh, paying attention to that rather than
Mm-hmm.
just being. Uh, I did want to ask though, yeah, from a, I guess maybe a more specifically like musician meditating standpoint. I How do you deal with getting like, because I mean, regular thoughts, I feel like it's obvious to be like, oh, okay, thanks, see you later, like that type of
Mm-hmm.
thing.
Mm-hmm.
With music, it is, as a musician, I just have like melodies and like music going on in there. And do you have any different type of way of dealing with that, or I don't know, like letting those thoughts go? Because I mean, that's a hard, maybe the hardest thing to let go, because that's something that I try to cultivate in,
Mm-hmm.
just having
Mm-hmm.
my ear working and my musical mind working. So like
Yes.
letting go of that is always hard.
Melodies that play over and over in us, or the motions in our body which are cultivated from our instruments. I mean, like wiggling fingers and so forth. This,
It's happening right now.
yeah, it happens automatically. It can't be helped. What can be helped is, well, let me back up just a little bit. The arising of thoughts cannot be stopped. Whatever the weather inside our body and our thought producing organ happens to be at a given moment, we can't turn it off. All we can do is abide. And so as thoughts come, they're there. Don't I mean, of course, if we're practicing, then we can run the melody 100 times over and over and over and over and over in our head. That's something we do as a musician. It's something an engineer does as a problem solver. That's not exclusive to being a musician. It's
Mhm.
just the thing with which we play is a bit different. Or a cook thinking about flavors.
Yeah.
This process, when we begin to practice zazen, is going to occur if we if we begin to think that we should control that process with more thinking. That's a mistake. It isn't going to work. You can't turn it off with your mind. That's one. Two, if you can't turn it off with mind, how on earth do we turn it off? And that's with the body. We concentrate the whole body. We lead with the 98% of our body, which is not the thought producing organ, not the place where those melodies are playing over. We just simply make the body still, allow the body, let the body release the body into stillness. And that's just, while you arrange your hands in this way, you put them in your lap, and to great extent, you don't move. And not moving is metaphorical, maybe even more than the physical part, because sometimes, depending on the circumstances in the body, this becomes necessary. During
Mhm.
a long meditation retreat, sometimes pain settles in a place, in a muscle group, and being still is a bit unnatural for our bodies. So introducing a small amount of movement is also okay. It's just a tool to deal with the circumstances of a moment. and having a skillful means and not begrudging what needs to be done is part of it. Not begrudging it is also letting go of it, holding it in an open hand, so to speak. And within that is the second point, which is as the thought arises, as the thing begins to cycle over and over in your head, the harder you push away, you're just it's just like loading a spring. It's gonna slap you back in the face. So just letting it be the thing, you know. If there are choruses of Blue Mitchell playing over and over in your head because you've been studying his beautiful voice, then let it be there. But that's also a time where taking a few deep breaths to prime yourself to return to here and now. So take 1 or 2 deep breaths as quietly as you can, and then open your ears to the entire space that you're in and that you can hear, which is also includes what's outside the building that you're in a lot of cases. And that verifies that you're here and nowhere else. And so it's a technique thing in a way. But as soon as you execute the technique, forget the technique.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. I mean, I guess I'm getting attached to the trying to be not attached to thoughts and melody.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So I'm trying to almost like intellectually be like, okay, yeah, thanks for doing that. Bye. Like when it should just be left alone and kind of taken out in the periphery, like just playing in the background almost as just whatever else is going on.
Yes. Years ago, I met a monk from Oregon, actually, who was a jazz drummer, and he put down the drums for, I want to say, like 3 or 4 years while he went to training. I don't know if he returned to playing after that, but I haven't spoken to him in many years. But I remember meeting him and someone telling me, "Oh yeah, this guy is also a musician or was a musician in his past life." And we spoke, and he said that I asked him a very similar question. So how has that gone, and getting kind of separating yourself from that practice, that deep practice? And he said, well, it took like 2 years for the constant play with rhythm to quiet in his head, for him to stop hearing music while he was doing zazen. And for me, I can tell you it has never stopped. I mean, perhaps at the time that I became a monk, I had spent a lot more years as an active professional than he had. So it's more, even perhaps more steeped in me. But the only place where silence becomes the forefront is not begrudging the fact that those sounds are still in the ecosystem of my thought. And even then, whenever I do experience, I'm going to say perfect stillness, there is no such thing as perfect stillness, but whenever I do touch that still point, it's fleeting. It's just a little bit here, a little bit there, a little bit after that. And that's the nature of thoughts coming and going. It's the in-between that you start to notice that even though there is a thought, actually the thought exists in still space. It exists within quiet. Any sound that we make only exists in the environment of silence. And we're always there anyway. So why worry about it?
That makes sense. Thank you.
You're welcome.
When you're in the elevator, enjoy the elevator music.
Yes.
That's easier said than done, but I appreciate it.
Oh, man.
I feel like that should be an album, like the songs in both of your heads. I'd listen to it.
Yeah. Oh no, Connor, you're muted. Your joke failed.
No, I was just saying, no, literally, eventually that is what happens for me is those do go on an album and get released.
Yeah.
Or at least, some of them.
Yeah.
Some of them have just been in my head for years. I'm like, nope. Why are you
Going
here?
nowhere. Yeah.
Yeah, that
Taking
ain't
up
gonna work.
space. Anybody else have any questions? Anything? If nothing, Chelsea?
Yeah, I have a question. Yeah, so something that I've been sort of working on with myself is my relationship to movement. And I have found our sitting practice, to be an interesting sort of way to think about movement and seeing it as a practice. And, I used to be very active with my job and, things have changed. And so now I have a very sedentary job and I'm at my desk all the time and work from home remotely. So I'm just kind of curious, like how, I don't know. I just thought I would throw that out there to you or you all, like about your relationship to movement and like, do you think of it as a practice or kind of a broad thing? But I just thought I would cast a wide net. Talk to me about movement, please.
Movement is dangerous. It's also how we run away from things, by moving. We're running away from our feeling in this present moment. We're running away from anxiety. We're running away from fear, running away from things we don't like, chasing after things we do like. And in that way, stopping and sitting, being still, settling in is something other than the usual rat race of our lives, as a metaphor. And even, for example, to borrow Connor's back trouble, or anyone's back trouble, because, we're all getting older, it's coming for us. If you are chasing stillness in order to run away from the idea that you're not still, and you force yourself to become like stone at the expense of the health of your body, then you only cause trouble. This sounds obvious, right? But then when you realize in one day of doing Zazen, you're like, oh, if I just move my lower back just a little bit, oscillate just a little bit, and find a little bit of medicine in this movement, or in breathing a little bit more intentionally than just the autonomic breathing that we have permission to do in Zazen. Then if you fight against the need to move from time to time, then that is the fighting is the movement. Relaxing into and not begrudging the movement is stillness in a metaphorical sense. Does that make sense? But obviously you should move your bodies without a doubt. Move vigorously. The more vigorously you move your body, the healthier your body will be. Pain is inevitable. Being tired is inevitable. So don't worry about that. Don't run away from that. Being still to avoid tiredness is just running away from tiredness. But moving until you get tired is being still. It's being right where you need to be at the time you need to be doing whatever it is you need to be doing. Wiping the floors. Wiping your butt. Whatever it is.
I was wondering if you'd be willing to talk about walking meditation.
Yeah.
Thing we could find useful.
Yeah, that's a really good question, Greg. One of the precious aspects of practicing shikantaza, or just sitting, in which we also call zazen, it's got too many darn names, is being quiet in a way that we don't cause noise pollution with our body. Be that our breathing, or, although I'm running my mouth at this present moment, generally not speaking is the best way to practice. Well, not speaking is also the best way to produce peace, to cultivate peace. Almost all problems we have in the world begin with someone's mouth. You can have all the ideas in the world, and if you don't say them, nobody gets offended. So just shut up. It's better. When we walk, we should also walk as quietly as we possibly can. We should pay absolute, exhausting attention to the sound of each step we make. We should pay attention to the sound of setting things down. We should pay attention to the sound of our clothing moving as we wear it. Not to the extent that we become paranoid or hold on to the paying attention, because that's just grabbing onto our attention, which is just formation of thoughts. But if we are truly silent, all of those things become obvious, and that's all they are. And we put them down. Sometimes you make a noise and you go, "Ooh, I put that down too hard." Put my coffee cup down and I bump the microphone stand. And maybe you could hear that, some kind of thing like this. That's okay. Knowing that, oops, I did that, and then not doing it the next time. So there's no sound. That's paying attention without grabbing on. Walking meditation exists in several different forms. In formal Zen practice, there are kind of two styles. There's the Rinji style, which is in Japanese we call Rinzai style, where periods of sitting, usually 40 or 50 minutes, they're actually measured by, this is going to blow your mind. This is a period of zazen, period of meditation. The length of incense is the measure of a period of meditation. And I think most of Buddhism, definitely in all of the Buddhism that comes to us through China. In Japanese, we call it, one period of meditation is ichu, nichu. Typically, monks don't sit more than one period. The reason is our body gets stiff. You got to get up and you got to move. And so in between, in the Zen traditions, we walk. In the Rinji style, they walk really fast and sometimes even run. Not inside the Zendo, but in that tradition, sometimes they walk outside, maybe even around the entire temple grounds in long circumambulating route where I'm not sure how long they may go. It could be 15 or 20 minutes. Could even be another entire period of zazen, like 30 minutes. But in Soto Zen, and the Zen where I'm a monk, we walk painfully slow. What is it? Isoku hampo, I think is the Japanese term for. So we put our feet here. We stand up off the meditation cushion, and we put our hands in shashu, either like this or like this, depending on the temple. And we start with our feet together, and we take one deep breath in. And on the exhale, we move 1 foot, 1/2 foot length, as quietly as we possibly can. Put the foot down without making a noise. And then we take another kind of slow breath in and then out. And we move that next foot 1/2 foot forward. And we repeat this. And the ultimate goal is to, there's a balance here. One is don't run into the person in front of you, maintaining sort of equal space. This kind of maintaining peace in the silent meditation. And also, ideally, even if there are many monks in the meditation hall, because we're walking around inside the meditation space, if we step with our natural rhythm of breathing, then we won't run into each other. And you can make adjustments. It could be a little less than 1/2 foot or a little bit longer if you needed to at a given moment. But paying attention and falling into harmony with everyone else, not creating a traffic jam. And this is, in Zen traditions, is called kinhin. That word means almost nothing in Chinese or in Japanese, the readings of those characters. But kinhin is walking meditation. And so there's fast and there's slow. And then there's the walking that you do in your everyday life, where you can apply the same principles. Walk silently, breathe silently, be where you are each and every step. And that's also walking meditation. Walking in the forest in a way that you draw no attention from anything to yourself, even your own attention to yourself, because you're not making any noise, can become walking meditation and a very, very precious time.
Thank you.
Welcome. Long. That was a long one. Has everyone been watching the news? Of course, there are bad things happening, but there's a good thing happening down in the American South these days. Have you noticed? Surely you've noticed. Couple guys, couple monks and a dog. You haven't seen this? Connor, where have you been? Oh heavens, there's a group of Theravada monks walking from, apparently their temple is in Texas, maybe Arlington, and then walking up to Washington, D.C. It's a walk of peace.
Oh, I've not. I mean, I don't. I purposely do not pay attention to the news. I'm depressed enough.
Well, I respect that. I respect that. But these monks are having a wonderful adventure and having a wonderful effect, both in experience, the trouble that they're experiencing, and also the net positive effect that they're having. Of course, people are rallying behind them, grabbing onto, they have this cute little mutt that I don't know if he was originally their dog or he just sort of joined them and they just keep feeding him, and so the dog just sticks around. He's called Aloka, which is a cool, cute little, probably Pali word. I don't know what it means, but these monks are walking through Baptist country. And so they've run into people trying to convert them and trying to tell them that, there is no peace if it isn't Jesus. So whatever yours is fake peace. And it's like, objectively absurd, ignorant things are being yelled at them by our Christian brothers and sisters whose perspective is a bit decidedly narrow in a sense. But the thing that's really cool that's happening is, of course, some of it's in response. You see some bad news about some people trying to do conversion, which conversion is objectively bad and not a part of Buddhism, or should not be a part of Buddhism as a rule. But there are people who are celebrating and supporting, giving alms to and shelter to these monks. And I watched some kind of local news coverage of these monks arriving into like Colombia and these different little towns and stuff, and the mayor's celebrating them, and the local church saying, "Hey, you can sleep in the church, on the spiritual quest. This is a place where shelter is available." And I was like, that is real good Christianity. That's the thing. That is the brotherhood that we need in the world, not the other way around. And something that struck me about the many people that, the local news will interview all kinds of different people and ask them, what do you think about this? Something that's interesting to me is, even though perhaps most of those local people are, Christian or pseudo-Christian, like, I believe in God, but I don't go to church, the average folk, something that is which I noticed in many of the words from many people, was when I see the monks, I can feel peace. I get this sense that they're doing a good thing for good reasons, and I think other people feel it too, and that makes me sort of celebrate. And I think that you could imagine that as resonating peace in a way. And I have long thought about a really beautiful phenomena of being a monk, and also of having been not a monk person and seeing monks. I was a nerd. I'm a nerd, so I saw lots of monks over my years. But even the mere idea of Buddha, even if some aspect of what you think or what a person thinks about Buddha, even if some of it is incorrect, we'll just say uninformed, unstudied, the mere idea of Buddha is enough to produce good effects in people. For your eyes to see the form of a Buddha's robe, for your eyes to see a person, because all monks are people. The Buddha was also just a person, but walking in an upright way, being quiet, doing that walking meditation, which we spoke about just a moment ago, moving through the world in this way, not moving their mouth largely, produces the effect of, oh, that's Buddha. People get to see Buddha in the world. And that produces marvelous effects. What's really cool is, even though y'all are not monks anymore, in one case, that effect is still playing out. The resonance of that, of your practice, of your just trying a little bit to be still and be quiet and to notice how you are in the world and how you perceive the world. What happens is that it's like a hint, it's like a whisper. It's not so much like people walking in a temple and like, oh, cool, that's what a Buddha looks like. What is a Buddha? They're not even thinking about that. It's like, oh, there's a slightly different quality to the atmosphere around these people who are practicing making Buddha in the world, which is what doing zazen is. And so the ultimate effect, the ultimate merit is also evident in each of your practice and how you then, go to work or go to the grocery store or smile at a kid as they walk by or something. All of that is the intangible wonder of manifesting Buddha in the world. So good job. Keep going. I like to imagine it as being perfumed by Buddha. So, yeah, exactly. When you practice it, when you practice stillness, when you move with stillness, then it's like the smoke of a really, really nice incense just sticks to you. And then when you go out somewhere else and maybe you're just having a beer with someone, you're still going to smell like that. And so that's kind of the amount of effect, and it's small. And even if somebody goes, something's different, they seem really calm. Just to wonder about calmness is it's the same fragrance as someone giving rise to an idea of, oh, what is Buddha? What is a Buddha? A Buddha is no. And ultimately, I think that's also why Buddhists practicing authentically, wholeheartedly, don't need to explain a whole lot, if they even could, about what exactly is Buddhism, because it isn't really much of there's mythology, which kind of starts to sound like religion, but then if you can take out our own identity as Americans, Christian European roots, that's sort of the viewpoint that we carry natively, for better or worse. We tend to view all other things through the idea of, oh, the Buddhists worship Buddha. They worship different gods, another god. You're just using your own verbiage from Christendom to describe what's going on over here. What's going on over here has nothing to do with those terms or that way of thinking. But to notice that that's not what's going on in there is really difficult. That's just an ego thing, in a sense, not so much an individualistic ego, although that it's also there, but a cultural identity that isn't being considered as just a cultural identity. It's being thought of as, oh, this is the way we are. Well, actually, no, it's not. That's just one way that we can be. There are other ways that we can be. And that's the large scale of religion, one religion looking at another, or one cultural framework considering another. And also that's what we understand to be true or comfortable for ourselves when we look at another individual who has something that's different than what's here, a different lived experience, a different way of expressing themselves, to the extent that they're not violent and harmful or what have you. Then well, something different over there can be very completely, not diametrically opposed, but vastly different and still correct and wonderful. And if we can suspend our ego and not apply ourselves to every other person that we see, then we get to encounter them for who they are. And that's kind of a more objectively, logically speaking, helpful way to meet other people. And our world needs more people being willing to put themselves down. I don't mean like self-effacing, but to just, yeah, I'm going to put that down for a second. Be like, oh, hi, Connor. What do you like? That being more interested in other people and loving of them. That's
yeah.
It plays out. All of this stuff always. I said this last week. I've said this the last couple of weeks about Dharma, studying nature, how things play in nature, and then noticing that in all other areas, there's a truth there, we can see reason, we can see something that's apart from our ego ideas. That's Dharma. That's probably the thing that Siddhartha Gautama noticed in his years of practice in the forest in India 2,600 years ago. So he got the title of Buddha, but actually Buddha is not he. Buddha is the result of deep study. And so Buddha is accessible to everyone. It's not just one person. It's not limited to male, female, or even human, perhaps. It's something beyond that. And being willing to encounter the possibility that there is Buddha everywhere. In all the iconography, there's a Buddha in every realm, as we like to say, which doesn't mean that Buddha is omniscient. That would be a Christian way of understanding Buddha in every realm. He's not a god. He's not everywhere all at once. That's not it. Now, Buddha is everywhere means Buddha can occur everywhere, unlimited to any one individual. And encountering a teacher in every place that we possibly can is also one of the ways that we put down our own ego. You're my teacher. You're my teacher. You're my teacher. So get perfumed by Buddha, and then rub elbows with people so they accidentally get perfumed by Buddha too. And I think that only good things will happen from it.
I like that.
I think that's, if you don't have any questions, I think that's about a good place to finish up.
Sounds good.
Yeah. Take good care, everyone.